Yes, guys, what's going on? Welcome to AdamMcKola TV. We are back for another Master Debaters with the biggest Master Debaters in town, myself, Jay, and Joe. We are here to talk all things mistakes. Yes, we can talk about mistakes. We've made a fair few in our lifetime, but we're talking about Manchester United mistakes and the biggest mistakes the club has made since Sir Alex Ferguson. There's been so many. There's been a few things we've got right as well, but today we're looking at the negatives. We're going down that route. So Jay, Joe, it's not going to be a competition. It's going to be like the Ollie one where we just have a debate, because people like that, where we have a little bit of a chat rather than start screaming at each other. I thought the screaming worked though. I like that.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, I convinced you both that Sergio Romero was the best signing since Fergie. So I don't know why you've changed the format, but I'm quite happy to just chat.
Well,
we've had to move the goalpost after your emphatic win.
Well, you would, because you're not scoring in them if they're where they're meant to be with Romero. I can't say that much.
Oh dear, Joe. We can't. But I think with this one, it's too much of a broad topic. It's like the Ollie one. Like, I can't just say to use both. Right, Ollie going to win the league? Yes or no? And use both argue one or the other, because I don't want to put you in a position like that. And I know it's more black and white, and it's the same with this. Like your opinion of the biggest mistake might be because that one caused many other mistakes, or I don't know. There might be a bigger reason towards it. So, who wants to go first with what they think is the biggest mistake?
I'll happily go first.
Yeah, I went first last time, didn't I? So
right.
Yeah, off
before beauty and all that. I think with this, with the argument about the biggest mistake, you have to look at it in context as well of at the time. So I don't know what Joe's going to pick, and I don't want to step on his toes. But say, for example, you're to say Sanchez was the biggest mistake. At the time, did anyone think that was a mistake? Probably not. I'll build my hands up. I didn't. I don't think anyone on this video did. He was sort of one of the most talented players in the league. Every time we played Arsenal, we were wary of him, scoring goals. He was a threat. City wanted him, and we got him. Now, in hindsight, it was a massive mistake. So I have to think. You have to look at it a little bit and think, okay, at the time, did you feel it was a mistake? And at the time, you probably didn't. So the reason I've gone for what I've gone for is because at the time, I think many of us really did think, really? Is this what we're going to do? And we tried to convince ourselves that it was a good idea because Sir Alex Ferguson told us about the manager. Yeah, it was actually a terrible idea. And those of us who deep down knew it was a terrible idea were right. And that's the appointment of David Moyes. Now, if you look at this on paper, none of it makes any sense whatsoever. It's absolute, off camera before we were talking about some sabotaging things. This is like someone sabotaged United, because in no logical way do you take a manager, right, who's the most successful manager in the history of football, who's just won everything there is to win multiple times, and replace him with a manager who's never won a major trophy, whose best achievement is taking Everton to fourth one season and getting to, I think, the first round of the Champions League. It makes no sense whatsoever. And there was the sort of like wages could try to justify it. You say, oh, he's got longevity. Oh, he's Scottish. Oh, Fergie knows his family. And that makes it even worse. When you look at that, that makes it even more bonkers. And yet we not only gave David Moyes the most important job at the club, made him the manager of our football team. Not only did we do that, but we also compounded it with several other massive mistakes. A 6-year contract, for example, that only ran out last year. That's how insane that was. We let him bring his own backroom staff. So we not only got rid of the most successful manager, we didn't get rid, not only let the most successful manager we've ever had leave, we also got rid of all his backroom staff. So there was no continuity. I was watching Steve Brown trying to tell Rio Ferdinand what to do on a touchline. It was insane. Jimmy Lumsden, who the hell is he and why is he influencing decisions at Manchester United Football Club?
Great name.
These were championship level coaches who were suddenly, second and third in command.
Phil Neville.
United. Yeah, even Phil Neville. We tried to, bringing Phil Neville into the fold. Phil Neville is the weak link in the class.
He can't even coach women's football.
He can't.
With all due respect to women's football.
No, and he's only a legend because his brother is. Really, Phil Neville's not a legend in terms of his playing career at Manchester United. And there was nothing in Phil Neville's demeanour or his persona or his attitude or what he said in interviews that makes me think, oh, he's going to be a great coach. He basically got the job because he was at Everton with David Moyes. And then finally, the coaching staff, the manager itself, to just add the sort of sprinkling of shit on this absolute horrible thing. Right? The turn on the top We go and get David Gill goes, and then Woodward comes in. So now you've got a brand new CEO who don't know what he's doing. You've got a manager who's completely out of his depth, and you've got a bunch of coaches who don't know what they're doing, and the players don't respect. It was a horror show, and we're still now, to this day, trying to recover from it.
Very, very convincing. I'm just trying to think how dry it would have to be able to sprinkle it. Like, you've got to get all the moisture out.
It's definitely white shit, that.
Yeah, it's one of them ones.
Yeah, whatever happened to that?
I was watching Step Brothers yesterday when he licks white shit. You don't see white dog shit anymore.
Prestige worldwide.
It's hard to argue with that, innit? It is undoubtedly one of the poorer decisions in the club's history. Again, I don't know if it's just because of the age that I was at the time or what, but the way I was fed the information about David Moyes, I was optimistic, and I did think, actually, yeah, when you put it that way, he does sound like the right guy. But then everything you hear about what happened, and you talk, they've not been able to train the way they wanted to, not having these specific training sessions like they were used to, what food you're allowed to eat, all this sort of stuff. We like chips on a Friday, whatever it is that, people fell out with him about. The more you hear about it, the more that it was just wrong on every level, wasn't it? And the David Gill thing, I think, I wouldn't necessarily blame, because presumably the decision to bring Moyes in was by the club and was by the board and stuff. So you put in that same decision on the board for David Gill. I think that was probably David Gill's decision as part of Ferguson going. So I don't necessarily think, whilst maybe getting Woodward in, you could say he was already in the club, but giving him the position they gave him was maybe a bad decision. I think David Gill going was kind of up to him. But yeah, there doesn't seem to be many, if any, saving graces from that Moyes season. None of the transfers, what little transfers there were, worked. None of the results. We lost a lot of players. People left in a way that didn't feel right at the time, and clearly wasn't right since. It is pretty hard to defend anything from that period, and it just was an absolute disaster.
I think. Look, I got it wildly wrong with David Moyes. I was a young lad who I didn't know what to do. I didn't know football without Fergie, and I thought, we've just got to get behind this fella and see and hope for the best. And that's pretty much like, in hindsight, we fell in love with a dream that Fergie sold us. We had his words ringing in our ears: stand by to your manager, make sure. And I think we all just kind of fooled ourselves into believing he could get us out of it. Longevity was the answer. I think longevity is the answer, but you have to give time to the right person. And I think if we didn't have Fergie's words ringing in our ears, if we hadn't have been spoilt with success for 20-odd years or whatever, 26, 27 years or whatever it was, when that would have happened, if that would have happened under a different scenario, say after Van Gaal or something, I think there would have been riots. I genuinely think the decision to bring in Moyes would have been made to look at even more bizarre and baffling decision. And it was an incredible one that Fergie made. It was Fergie that made it, wasn't it? And again, it shows you the irresponsibility of the board and the owners at United. That I know Fergie is the greatest of all time, but kind of just giving the responsibility of your next appointment to the man that's walking out the door is quite a bizarre thing to do. If you were working somewhere, you were leaving, they might ask you for a little bit of insight or a little bit of advice, but they wouldn't take your decision. And I think that was a bizarre one as well, to just give him the whole reins to make the decision. And ultimately it showed for it. And I think the players kind of suffered from who the fuck is this? He's not my dad. You know what I mean? You're not my dad. Don't tell me what to do. You're not.
Because he almost had that. He had that stepdad quality to him, where he's close enough because he's the sort of guy your mum likes. Like, he's Scottish, he's a bit stern and that, but he's definitely not dad. Whereas they needed to go for someone who was way different. Where this isn't dad, but this guy's cool. It was like,
he lets me drive his car.
Yeah, exactly.
The mad thing is, right? I was like you, Mackie. We had those words ringing in our ears. And logically, you look at it and you think, I don't really get this, but I back Fergie. We've been spoiled. We've got to get behind the manager and whatever. But I was at his press conference where Moyes was unveiled. And I remember, right, for starters, he talked about Fergie ringing him to tell him he's got the job. He said, Sir Alex rang me, and then he said he was coming round to speak to me, and I was worried about what I was wearing because I was in a T-shirt. I'm thinking, what? What?
You're
What
at
are you worried
home.
about? Yeah, you worried
In
about
your
what you're wearing?
boxes.
Yeah. And then he went. So Alex came out and told me I'm going to be the new United manager, and I thought, oh, so we've had a diligent interview process, then, haven't we? This is like, he's come round to your house on a Tuesday afternoon and said, "Oh, you new United gaffer, nice one." And I was like, "Oh, what?" And then he went, and then what? To compare, he went, I want to follow in the footsteps of people like Sir Alex Ferguson, Matt Busby, Bill Shankly. And I was like, this dickhead, what is he on about? Like, but obviously you have to back the manager. And I think for me, there was a sort of like a sense of, we've been spoiled for so long, and I wanted to prove myself almost as a United fan by getting behind this manager and backing him through these hard times because Sir Alex had told me to, and it was our responsibility. And with all these Johnny come lately, all being spoiled, and we show him that we'll stick with this man, and we're proper United fans who get behind him, and every single one of us will stand by David Moyes and all that shit.
What a song.
No, I made this video evidence of us all doing that, but we were kidding ourselves because you could tell you're not stupid. You saw it on the pitch. I'm watching us 3-0 down against Liverpool, and he brings on Tom Cleverley. Things like that. It's just like the guy didn't know what he was doing, and his coaches couldn't help him. And I get what you're saying. All right, is it the board's decision or whatever about David Gill? But there should have been some sort of structure, better structure in place than allowing the two most influential people at the club to depart at the same time. There had to be a better way than the way we did it, and it was just a shit show.
Andy Tate did say it best, though, didn't it? He's like a kid in a shop. Like he didn't look like he knew what he was doing there. Like 6-year contract, best friends with Fergie. Like, like the reason Andy went so viral at the time because he was so right in what he was saying. He never swore. He never, like, the worst thing he did was give me a dirty look at the end of it. Like, but he was bang on with everything he said. And I remember the fan cams after Everton as well. And there's one where someone just comes up to me and goes, he's just got to go. Like, it's just I don't know. What else do we even say anymore? Like, there's just nothing else to say. And we did have moments like 30 seconds in Bayern Munich and little glimpses and Olympiacos and stuff like that. But he was never supposed to be there. And the stature of our squad at the time, you couldn't bring in you can't bring in David Moyes to manage players that had won the European Cup and won the Premier League. No. Especially when the likes of Van Persie's heads had gone because Fergie had gone.
Yeah. He also the thing with Moyes as well is almost forgotten about. He made it worse for himself with stupid statements all the time. He comes in and he says Wayne Rooney's going to be great backup to Van Persie. So Wayne Rooney's automatically he's angry. Do you remember when he released the statement? Angry and confused, exactly. Then he said Shinji Kagawa was injured because he'd ate too much. He said he's got
too much chips.
Yeah. Hey, I can relate to that, Shinji, mate. I can relate to that.
But Shinji's like, I haven't had too much. I'm not fucking stupid. If I've had too much, I stop eating. I don't carry on eating until I'm ill. And then he just kept saying these things that just upset everyone.
And it was like where Fergie had kind of said, right, Rooney's finished. You need to get rid of him. I got you Kagawa and Van Persie. And he was like, keep my backroom staff. Where he needed to. Like where he maybe needed to say yes and then show he was a boss elsewhere and he did it completely the wrong way around. He was like, actually, fuck that. I'm going to be my own boss there and just break everything up. And then in certain other areas, he was stern, or he was just not stern enough. And it was like, what are you? Like, I don't think he actually knew what he did or what he wanted. I actually think if he had his time again, he wouldn't even accept the job.
No, I think
it's wrecked his career, hasn't it? In all sort of in every sense of the word, really. His stock has fallen so much. He was one of the most sort of, this guy is one of the best managers in the country, and he was considered that because of the job he'd done at Everton. He'd stabilised the club and done excellent things with them. But to say that he's capable of taking that step up to United, whilst I think the decision was made in the best interest of the club, and I don't think it was any sort of sabotage or willful, poor decision making by Ferguson or anyone at the club. It clearly was just completely wrong, wasn't it? I
think tactically, people talk about man management, which he got wrong at times, and everything else. I think tactically he was just never the man either. Joe, do you
remember the statement? So it just reminded me. David Moyes says that United need to improve on areas such as defending, passing, tackling, and shooting.
And if only there was someone around to help them do that.
He's just like, I'm done.
Basically, all of football. Basically, shit.
The food in the canteen's great, but the rest of it's shit.
What a man. God bless him.
That, yeah.
God bless him. Joe, what's the biggest mistake Manchester United have ever made? Or has Jay said it for you?
I think, the thing is, I think Jay made a good point before his own argument that I think is slightly undercut, actually. I think that we have to take into account the willingness and the knowing of how bad a mistake was being made at the time. You gave Sanchez as an example. I think you can almost put Moyes somewhat in that category where I think the club were trying to do the best thing. I think they thought they were making the best possible decision when they brought Moyes in, as categorically incorrect they were. Whereas I think not backing Jose in the 2018-19 summer was done with a knowing that it was the wrong decision. I think he asked for a centre-back. He asked for these players that he wanted. And I think the club didn't back him. And I think they knew that they were doing something that was both going to, dent our chances of winning anything that season, dent our chances of keeping Mourinho as a manager. And I think it's one of the few decisions that has been made since Ferguson that I genuinely think they knew it was a bad decision and they still did it, which is why I think not backing Mourinho at the start of last summer is the biggest mistake we've made since Ferguson. Obviously, go on.
Since Fergie left, not since Ferguson wasn't a mistake.
Terrible.
I just want to clarify the title before anyone goes back. So Mourinho, not backing Mourinho. So okay.
Yeah. I'll go into a bit more then. So the season before that, obviously, we finished second. I know it was a distant second. It wasn't a title challenge. It wasn't anything like that. But it was the first time where we were comfortably in the top four. We were second. That's a Fergie position to finish. Obviously, it's not the Fergie position. That's first. But there's a bit of a... We finished second. Runner-up isn't bad. And it's the first time we've got back there since Ferguson's left, anywhere near top of the table. I know, like I said, it wasn't a title push, anything like that. That summer, we then signed... The season before that, or when Mourinho arrived, we signed Pogba, Mkhitaryan by Ibrahimovic. Some like immediate impact players like Ibrahimovic, some players for the future in Bailly and Pogba and Mkhitaryan somewhere in between, 26 years old, I think, when we signed him. The summer after that, we signed Lukaku, Matic, Lindelof, and we were on this upward trajectory towards traditional second, third season under Mourinho, where he starts winning things. We won the Europa League. And then we signed Fred, who seemed like we only signed him because City wanted him, because Mourinho clearly didn't. We signed Diogo Dalot, who was, an up-and-coming right back, fair enough. And we signed Lee Grant, when he clearly wanted Harry Maguire, he clearly wanted a centre-back, he wanted players in other positions to replace players that he brought in. And it seemed as though the board was sort of like, well, you're not getting another centre-back, you've already had two. When we've seen from how United's defence has turned around this season with the inclusion of Harry Maguire, that is what the club needed. And we got back to a point where we could finally hold our heads up and sort of be like, I know we didn't win the league, but we're second. We came second here, and we've got something to push on with one of the best managers in history. And we purposely allowed that to fall to shit by signing players he didn't want in positions he didn't want. And I just think that's as inexcusable as anything we've done. When there was a clear chance to win trophies there, we just completely let it go.
I do agree with you, and I've said this myself that summer was a massive sort of missed opportunity. The Scousers just got to the Champions League final. They were obviously ready to kick on. Everyone knew that. We just about fended them off in the league. City were miles away from us. They got out and broke their transfer record for Riyad Mahrez. So for us not only not to keep up with them, but not to do better business than them and do better signings, but not even to keep up with them was criminal. My only sort of caveat with this was the writing was almost on the wall with Jose, and despite those transfers that didn't happen, he wanted to get rid of Martial. He fell out with him because he fell out with Pogba, two of our best players. He's been very critical of Marcus Rashford ever since he's left as well. Didn't get the best out of him. Said, he was at the club for 5 years. He didn't score that many goals. And we know what Marcus is capable of. And, he criticised all the young players on the pre-season tour. I mean, you've not got the transfers. And plus, Freddie's actually a good player. He just didn't give him a chance at all. And so, I get where you're coming from. It was a mistake. It was. My only sort of side to that is Mourinho was beginning to lose the plot. He was. And some of the things he was doing and some of the things he was saying were just out of order, really.
I don't wish that Mourinho was still the manager or that we should get rid of Sol. I don't think that we were wrong to get rid of Mourinho when we did. But if you're looking at what clubs should do, and again, take yourself back to that time, most of the criticism, obviously the falling out with Martial and stuff, that you're spot on about that. But most of the criticism of the youngsters and of the team he had going into that season came around the time where he was obviously realising that we aren't going to be signing the players he wanted. I think he threw his toys out the pram as a result of that. I just think to go from where we were under Moyes and then Van Gaal to second in the league, and then you go, actually, I know you want these players, but we're not going to sign them for you. I can't, just from a decision-making perspective, even though maybe it didn't have the cataclysmic effect that the Moyes one did, I just think it's the most blind decision we've made in age. What is the sense behind not backing the manager in that position? What more does he need to prove? He'd won trophies with us. He'd got us to second in the league, and then you don't back him. It just it's just so backwards. I think Moyes was, a stupid mistake that you probably should have seen coming. But I think it was done with good intentions. What did they think they were doing by not backing him? That's all it is for me.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm glad that on my list, which is there, both of your selections are on it. Because whilst I agreed with Mourinho being sacked by the end of it,
same.
I agree that if you're going to appoint Jose Mourinho, you know who you are appointing. You are not appointing a Pochettino or someone that's going to heavily invest in youth players, try and develop them and get the most out of them. And all right, there we go. You know that you need to start signing players. And especially when we were at the point that we were at, that second place, I never quite felt it was a runner-up. We never felt like we were runners-up. The title had kind of gone in September. But nevertheless, we had finished second. We had finished ahead of everyone else in the league. And at that point, we should have been looking up rather than, oh shit, who's going to catch us or who's going to go ahead of us? And we never ever did. We never ever approached that summer like, all right, Lee Grant, that's not a signing. Diogo Dalot wasn't really a signing. It was made with the future in mind. So Fred was signed, and I think that was maybe someone that Jose was up for. But as soon as he realised that he didn't fancy someone, there was no really change in his mind on that. I mean, ask Anthony Martial. Martial scored 10 goals, 10 assists in half a season, gets dropped for the rest of the campaign almost. So he kind of had that, he kind of made mistakes for himself, and kind of his attitude made him, disregard Fred maybe a little bit or not work on him a little bit. But United should have known, not backing Jose Mourinho. It's like you say, they knew what the impact of that would have been. They knew the pattern of Jose Mourinho. If you don't give him what you want, he's going to start speaking out in the press. He's going to start digging at his own players. He's going to start doing X, Y, and Z. At the moment at Spurs, he's only being nice to everyone because he's probably getting what he wants. As soon as he stops getting what he wants, that's when shit's gonna go to pot. Now you can blame Mourinho for that, but the board knew what they were getting when they appointed him. And when you appoint him and he delivers you second place, you've then got to say, all right, what do you want? How can we turn his second place into first place? And you've got to trust his decision making, because ultimately, if you don't, you sack him there and then. There's no point saying, like you said, you kind of hinted at. They thought, all right, let's not back him and he's going to crack up and he'll be gone soon. Well, actually, you've just wasted a season for United then. Why not just sack him then and just get it over and done with, you know what I mean? And that shows a lack of spine and a lack of balls in the boardroom. But also, it was a mistake not to do that. So I agree. Go on, Jay.
I think he undermines himself, Jose, as well, because you're right. It was a mistake. You're both right. And I was infuriated during that summer. Like you say, we needed to kick on and we didn't. Massive missed opportunity. But then when the season starts, Jose's playing three at the back and one of them's a midfielder. He's blatantly trying to prove a point. Herrera's at centre-back. McTominay's at centre-back. He takes off Lindelof and leaves McTominay on against West Ham. He's doing it deliberately. You know what I mean? He's making a statement.
Yeah, he wouldn't do things to get a result. He'd do things to make an excuse for why we didn't get the result.
And that undermines because then you lose sympathy with him. Then you get annoyed because you're pissing about with my team here, my football club, and you're using it to make a statement that's going to get us nowhere. So you're right, and you have to sort of almost put that aside and forget about the shit that he did to make his statement. Leaving Fred on the bench when we're 1-0 down against Juve for the entire game, shit like that. And then saying, I had no subs I could have made. Just ignore all that and just look at it for that 1 point you're making in that summer. Did we back him when we should have done? And was that a chance for us to kick on and make a title challenge? And I think you're right. I think it was a chance for us. Even though Jose was losing a plot. Had we backed him, maybe he would have gone again. He would have been up for it.
Yeah, like Adam said, you know what you're getting with Mourinho. What you do is Mourinho comes in, you give him all the money he wants, and within 3 years you've won the league. That is the formula that you follow with Jose Mourinho. You don't say do you want to be here for 6 years and we'll sort of drip feed you a few transfers. They went big in the first 2 summers. We got to the best position we've been since Fergie, and even since then. I know it's only been one full season since then, but we got to the best position. We're on the way up. And again, we talked about it not being a title challenge, which it wasn't. City had won the league easy, but we finished ahead of Liverpool, and they've pushed on by 30 points since then, and we haven't. So it's not like it's not City who are going to win the league this year, and they were behind us then. So it's people have overlapped us since then. It's not like we're second and we could never catch City. Liverpool have caught City and surpassed them by miles. So I just think,
Joe, just to obviously you can't predict these things. If, for example, now I think the board probably didn't want to buy Alderweireld because of his age and what's going to happen in the future. But if he got a signing, whether that was Alderweireld, Harry Maguire, whoever, how do you think the rest of that campaign would have went, or that season would have went?
Again,
I know it's hard because I'm asking you to make.
I mean, again, what you have to do is, what my thought on that is look at Mourinho as a manager, look at his track record. You would have to say, when you give him the players he wants, he wins trophies, and he won trophies at United. I would say the biggest problem with Mourinho is his attitude. It all became look at me, we've won this 3 times, I've done this, I've done that. You're laughing at me, well, I've done that. What have you ever done? It's not the club, it's him. So as long as you've got him on side, you get one of the best managers in the world. And I think if we'd have done everything we can, you're almost trying to, it's not even like making the best team you can, it's making him happy is what wins you trophies with Mourinho. Obviously, getting those players makes him happy, but I think we did worse than we did the season before with the same squad because he fucked everything up, like Jay said. So I like to think, or maybe don't like to think, that we would have pushed on and maybe wouldn't have won the league because things would have changed. And obviously Liverpool were on the way up. They got to the Champions League final, like you said. But whether he would still be here now because he tends to stay places 3 years and leave, I think we would have pushed on and definitely got top 4, easily got top 4, and we could have pushed on to that next level and potentially challenged for the title. You can never really say, can you? But you look at what Mourinho has done in the past in the sort of rhythmic kind of predictability that he wins things with teams. We were on that course to do that, and we completely blew it up by not supporting him.
Do you not think, just to be devil's advocate a little bit, he had the famous second season thing with Mourinho. He always wins the title in his second season. Yeah. He didn't with us. He finished 19 points behind City. As I mentioned, he'd fallen out with Pogba, regardless of transfers. He'd fallen out with Martial. Do you not think he was maybe in his decline a little bit? That maybe we had, because Mourinho now for me isn't quite the same Mourinho that went in.
But then that comes back to the point that if United don't want to back him because they don't feel he's going to do anything, you have to sack him at that point. You can't then just say, all right, fuck you, you're not going to get you out in this transfer window. We're going to make you crack up and leave.
I actually think the season before, to me, made zero sense in the fact that we didn't get Perisic for 45 million quid because apparently he was 29 years old. He was too old. We gave Jose Matic and Lukaku who we wanted, but we didn't get Perisic, the one he wanted. I'm missing someone out. Was it Lindelof as well? I think we bought 3, didn't we? And he wanted 4. We didn't get Perisic. And then we wait till January and get Sanchez anyway, who's 29 and who's a spent force. And spend
and was a big deal.
Essentially selling 30 million quid's worth of assets in Mkhitaryan in a swap to get him. So you basically spent what you've not lost. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
had
not.
We got Perisic, I'm not saying we would have made up them 19 points. I'm not saying that at all. But I think we could have made a little bit of difference. And who knows? Maybe he's just, he's got all 4 transfers he wants. He's happy. We've got an extra attacking player who's effective. It's just it just baffled me the fact that not only did we not get him, we then wait till January and spend the equivalent amount of money on someone else in the same position anyway. Yeah. And it's just like, again, it's just, there's no tactics here. There's no strategy from the club. It's just nonsense. And then that's following summer, you don't back the manager at all. So, it's just fucking insane.
Have you both got what you want to say on this topic, on this bit?
It's deflating, isn't it? So, just deflating when you think about it.
It's a depressing topic to do on lockdown, but I suppose things do feel positive at the moment, which is great.
Yeah.
The one I wanted to discuss, and I'd throw into the ring, and I think everything kind of leads back to it, and how we got things so massively wrong. If you look at David Moyes, Matt Fellaini, If you look at Mourinho not backing him in that summer, I think everything comes back to giving Ed Woodward too much power. And I think ultimately that has been the biggest mistake Manchester United have made since Sir Alex Ferguson left. I don't think him being in a role or having a job is a bad thing at United, because I think he's very good at the job that he does in terms of bringing commercial revenue in. And I think if you look at United now in this post-coronavirus or this current coronavirus world that we're in, we're very in a good position because of those deals that he's made. So I'm not against him for that, and I think he has his role at the club, and he's always going to be there, unfortunately, while the Glazers are, because he is one of them. He helped them buy the club. But allowing him to conduct business in terms of football, not having anyone alongside him in order to help him conduct those matters, and allowing him to have the ultimate say-so and everything, and working alongside these managers, Jose Mourinho, Louis van Gaal, are old-school football men. They would have never worked with anything like Ed Woodward in their lives. And I think you hear that when Louis van Gaal speaks now, when probably Jose Mourinho finally gets to speak out about what happened at United. I think a lot of the problems that have been caused, David Moyes aside, will all come back to Ed Woodward. The transfer business, leaving Australia, I got business to do. Mario Fellaini, we could have got him for a release clause at a certain price. We waited, paid a little bit extra. Then signing Juan Mata. What's the correlation between those two signings? There's no style of football ever suggested in that. Sacking Moyes, all right, that was the correct decision to do. But then, all right, moving on. We had Ryan Giggs, we had Van Gaal, we had, then sacking Van Gaal the way we sacked Van Gaal was totally disrespectful to an all-time great in the game. To be able to do that to him on the day he's won us a trophy, our first trophy actually after Sir Alex Ferguson had left, I thought was pretty much a disgrace. And you look at the way he handles business and has handled business. I think he has to be the biggest mistake we've made has to be giving him so much power.
It's definitely in it. I mean, it's definitely up there in it. That the whole thing of, I don't know if you ever saw, it's like a meme. It was like man stabbed after saying, "What are you going to do? Stab me." And that is essentially what Woodward did when he was like, "Hey lads, watch this. I'm going to get sign up. I've got business to do." And then he signs players that we could have got for £5 million cheaper 2 months earlier. It's like the most sort of hoist by your own petard nonsense ever. And it was an early indicator of what we were going to see for the next 7 years. I don't think there's many people who are going to defend Ed Woodward, is there?
No, it's like the Moyes appointment doesn't make any sense. And I don't know, Macca. I know what you're coming from about. He brought in money and did all that, but if you look at the trajectory commercially, United were on before he took over. It stagnated when he took over. Not stagnated, but it slowed down when he took over. So yeah, okay, he did it. Let's give him that. Let's just for the sake of argument, because that's not the point you're making. Because he did an okay commercial job here, but there's nothing in his investment banker resume to think he's going to be able to sort of get deals over the line. He's got no contacts in the game. He's got no knowledge of football or anything like that. There's no strategy or long-term planning. When you look at the philosophy of Moyes to Van Gaal is completely different. Maybe you could argue Mourinho is a little bit similar to Van Gaal, but not identical. And then Ole to Mourinho, even Ole. Now I've backed Ole, and everyone knows that. But we waited until Ole had lost 2 games before we appointed him permanently, which even that doesn't make any fucking sense. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, and then the IC, you mentioned it there. The interviews, and we can do things in the transfer market other teams can only dream of. I want us to be like McDonald's. What the fuck are you on about? What are you talking about?
McDonald's FC.
Yeah. Why are those words coming out your fucking mouth? Stop talking. It's nonsense. And again, this sort of he wants to be the sort of front and center of it all. And we know certain members of the press have been briefed by Woodward. We know he's given them it's the Woodward era and all this garbage. So you've got to take responsibility for that. If that's how you want to play it, then you've got to live and die by that success. And our success has been what? 2 Champions League finishes since Fergie retired. That's disgraceful. We were constantly in the Champions League
and a couple of trophies we used to disregard.
And listen. Yes, it's great to win the FA Cup and to win in Europe and Stockholm and all the rest of it, but we should be doing a lot better. And it's not even the fact, right, that we've not spent money, because we have. If you look at our spend, we've spent money. And this is the thing that rival fans always say, you fucking United fans whinge. You spent the third most in the league since 1999 or whatever, or 2010 or whatever. And it's like, it's not that, but like you mentioned there, Maka, Fellaini, Mata, then it's like your big money signings, throwing like Ander Herrera comes in, Luke Shaw comes in. And you've got these players, and it's like, I remember Al, when he got Ander Herrera, didn't play him for 3 months and was playing Rooney in midfield. Obviously didn't want him. And then he plays Di Maria up front, and you're like, well, did you want these players? You mentioned Jose gets Fred. He didn't want him, but he's got him. So who's making these decisions? Who's signing up on it? And Woodward's got to take some responsibility in that. There's no strategy, there's no planning, and there's no vision. It's just...
With him, it's almost like when there's time to make a statement, he'll make it.
Yeah.
Like with Alexis Sanchez or Fred. But when it comes to doing actual business that actually develops the club and benefits the club on a long-term basis, he shies away from it. And almost with the last current, the last couple of windows have been pretty good for us. That's nothing to do with him. That's to do with the manager. And almost you fear what happens if he was to leave. Like in a weird way, Ollie's achieved nothing. And if he leaves, where does that leave us in terms of direction? Because it kind of feels like we wouldn't have any.
Even those ones you mentioned, we've had a good transfer window, and we have. But Leicester wanted 85 million for Harry Maguire. We spent 2 weeks negotiating, and at the end of it, we give him 85 million. Crystal Palace want 45 million for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We spend in 2 weeks negotiating in public, making silly things about if he wins the Ballon d'Or and we get in the Champions League, we'll knock this off. And they say, don't be fucking silly. And at the end of it, we pay 45 million quid. So it's embarrassing. Even those deals that are good or decent, even those he has to make into a pantomime by just going through these pointless negotiations when he should just say, right, these are the people that know how to do these deals. Let them get on with it. I'll just stay out of it. But he doesn't. He sort of sticks his nose in where it isn't needed or isn't helpful.
And the thing of the direction of the club, that was the biggest thing with me. That was, for me, when Mourinho left, I think he was right for him to go. He'd clearly just given up. But when he left, after that game, there was a feeling of, as an actual club, not as a manager, not as any individual piece of personnel here, where are we going here? What is the vision? What is the plan? What have we got left of like what we actually like about Man United? We're happy to go with different styles of manager every other year who have no correlation, like I said, let alone between the players each manager signs, let alone manager to manager. Teams like Barcelona and Ajax and these teams with strong philosophies hire managers that are the best in the world to manage the Barcelona way. They don't get a new manager that manages a different way and try and change the whole culture of the club every 18 months. And that's what we've seen at United. It felt so hopeless and depressing, and it's so far away from any sort of success when Mourinho left, because he was you know what? We used to think that longevity and giving the manager time and having a family sort of feel to a club was the way to win things. We've given up on that in Moyes. We've given up on that on Van Gaal. We've finally just gone for, you know what, just give him the machine gun and then we'll win the war in Mourinho. And even that didn't work. And there was just a feeling of, we've got no clue what's going on here. And that comes back to the direction and the leadership shown by the board and by Woodward. So it's just, at least with Solskjaer, like you said, there's a feeling that he kind of understands the club. He's kind of climbing up the ladder from underneath, trying to sneak up and direct the club, because that clearly hasn't been the case in the last 7 years. And it's nice that someone's doing it, but it's not the people who you want doing it.
I got a list here. These are the mistakes I've written down. So David Moyes' appointment, we've spoken about that. Di Maria transfer, not appointing a director of football. Didn't back Mourinho in the transfer window. That one's there. Alexis Sanchez transfer. But again, like Jay says at the time, all of us were for it. We all loved that video of him playing the fucking piano. Abandoning the academy a little bit in the early days of Fergie leaving. Selling the wrong players. At certain times, I think definitely in the first 2-3 years of Fergie. Yeah. After Fergie left, that could be said. In the last couple, no. Ed Woodward, too much power. The way we sacked Van Gaal. And then I've got like little stupid things, even like not improving facilities in a stadium, and like, because we're supposed to be the biggest club in the world, but we've fallen behind many clubs in certain regards. So is there any of them that you'd like to point out, or anything that I've not mentioned?
A lot of those things sort of tie together in the sense of, the academy, the way we sat Van Gaal, and the facilities. That you talk about Manchester United now. For me, you know, for all of us, I don't mean to be a fucking melodramatic and schmaltzer, but Manchester United is a romance about this club. Something special about it. Not just because I'm a United fan. There is. It's known throughout the world. It's got history. It's got the sort of the story of rising from the fucking flames after Munich, of the Busby Babes, of winning the treble. There's just a sort of something different about this club that other clubs just don't have. And we've always had that, and you know, carried ourselves a certain way. And you know, when your manager wins the FA Cup, and then the press know he's been sacked, and he knows he's been sacked the same day, and then the day after a new manager comes in, that's not very classy. You know what I mean? When you've got a leak in your roof for fucking 4 years, when you've got an academy that's like you just mentioned. You know, Jose Mourinho pulls out a piece of paper and says, I give the academy players a chance. And it's a nonsense. And everyone knows it's a nonsense, that he doesn't. And he wasn't appointed for that because we've just completely forgot and abandoned the principles of giving our youth a chance. So it all ties into that thing of, you know, of Manchester United having that identity. And we don't care about that when you do those things. You don't care about it. Even David Moyes, who was a disaster as a manager, did we sack him the right way? The press knew about it before he did. He finds out about it from a journalist ringing him for a reaction. Is that the right way to do things? Van Gaal, I was there. We'll talk about this today. I was there when he stormed out of a press conference. We didn't storm out. He walked out of a press conference because the press were running stories that he'd been sacked or he was about to be sacked. And it just has that air of, this isn't the way we should be doing things. This is the way that sort of Chelsea do that with managers. You know, Oldham Athletics stadium's falling apart. No disrespect to them, but that's the sort of levels that you'd expect. You know, United, you expect something different. You expect us to be better than that. And we just haven't been. And I don't know whether that is because Fergie's gone. And he's had such an influence on those things that he wouldn't stand for a leaky roof, or he wouldn't stand for his academy being ignored, or obviously, you know, manager's a different thing, but he wouldn't stand for staff being mistreated, for example. Whereas now he's gone, we don't have that. Or whether it's just the sort of people just are focused on other things, focused on bringing in those sponsorship deals and fucking buying the Paul Pogbas without the other stuff, which is, you know, it's a shame because Manchester United should have that bit of class to us.
We've got that thing where it seems like America and Britain have it at the minute, where it's like, we're the best country in the world, you know, and you're like, well, have you got the best education? No. Have you dealt with coronavirus the best? No. Have you got the best quality of life? No. Like, United are like, we're the biggest and best club in the world, you know, we can do things that no one else can dream of. Do they dream of having a leaky roof? When Van Gaal came in, he had to change all the training ground because, what was it? There's like concrete under the training ground, about 2 feet under or something. The pitches were too hard and people were getting injured. He put we haven't got the best facilities, or, you know, the training ground is one of the best now, but it's been improved a lot over the last few years. The stadium has been, just like you said, left to get rusty and discoloured, and there's holes in the roof. We act like we're the biggest club in the world, but we aren't at the top of any of the metrics that you would want to be top of course, culminating in the league. We're running on this kind of, we're the big boy, when actually, do you do anything the best? And are you ran the best? And obviously we're not. And it just feels like we're kind of, you know, living on this reputation a little bit. And a lot of that,
we're hoping for another miracle manager, aren't we?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
We need to start actually doing the things that make clubs the best in class in different regards, and we don't seem to do any of them.
I hear you. And it's almost like we do things for show.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, with like MUTVs or glitz, obviously you expect it to be, but it's just an example. It's like propaganda. And it's almost like with United, it's all, we're the greatest, we're the best, and we do all this, that, and the other better than anyone else. And actually, you probably don't. And it's all for show, and it's all just to give big numbers to corporations and sponsors.
Some of the things we mentioned, like, all right, redoing Old Trafford is a big thing that takes time and stuff. But the way you handle yourself publicly, your PR stuff, you know, the way you do deals and stuff can be a lot better. You know, we signed Marcus Rojo, and someone Googled his name and found out he was due in court for stabbings or for beating up his neighbour. And we didn't know that until after we signed him. You know, little things like that just show you don't know what you're doing.
The lawyers with Herrera.
Yeah. People, imposters pretending to be from United and getting away with it. And it's just a farce. And it's little things like that you can rectify quite easily. You just get a structure in place, say, right, you know, this is how we're going to do things. You know, and it pains me to compare ourselves to them, but let's do it anyway. You know, a few years ago, the Scousers were a shambles. They were on and off the pitch. They were a disaster. The stadium's fucked. Commercially, they're terrible. The team aren't performing. They're spending loads of money on crap. They're just going through managers like no one's business. It's a mess. And then they get a structure in place that addresses all these different issues. You know, they start tapping into their academy. They start, a PR machine gets involved. You know, they start rejuvenating around Anfield, which used to be absolute bomb site, and it sort of clicks into place. You know, and look at us. We're on a much higher starting position, and we're falling behind. And you know, a lot of these things they're easy to fix, they're easy to rectify, and we just don't seem asked to do it. We're just like, oh, forget it, doesn't matter. You know, the fans will still come. They'll still turn up. They'll still spend money.
And unfortunately, we will as a collective.
Yeah, you know, and I'm a hypocrite because I will.
They've got us by the balls.
Yeah, I do it every week.
So today was a bit of a depressing one. Let us know what you think the biggest mistake is we've made since Sir Alex Ferguson left this great club. We've won 3 trophies along the way, so I suppose it could be worse. It's not all bad at all, but we like to have a little bit of moaning now and again, and I suppose today was that day. Joe, what are you doing this week, lad?
I'm on Stratford Paddock, as always, and I'm at Joe Smith93 on Twitter if you want to check me out on there.
Jay?
I'm doing something with David Scott. You know Scotty, our kid?
Yeah.
Yeah, me and him are going to do some like film stuff and chat and stuff like that. So look out for that, man. I'll be arguing with people.
Like a podcast kind of thing.
Yeah, like a podcast. You're doing something different. It's not completely Football United related. So yeah, we're just going to give that a go. I think we're going to start it this week. So check that out.
Get on it. We'll get sharing that. Make sure you check that out, RFFH on the old Twitter. And yeah, keep it locked. Make sure you're liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing. Today has been Master Debate as what is the biggest mistake United have made since Sir Alex Ferguson left. And there's been a fair few for you to pick from. Get yours in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share, and join. And for now, we're out of here.